tonight on the Final Play.
On to the next opponent, on to the next opportunity.
Thanksgiving has the Saints feeling full of momentum, confidence, and preparation time. We'll preview the upcoming trip to Dallas. Plus,
that was very unfair that happened to our football team tonight.
A calamity in College Station leaves LSU at a loss for words. We'll make sense of a wild week in college football for Tulane, Nichols, and Southern. Meanwhile, the Pelicans are 10-10 and with plenty of questions to answer. It's a jam-packed Final Play, and it starts right now.
From Fox 8 Sports, this is the Final Play, sponsored by your Southern Quality Ford dealer, built Ford tough, and Nissan.
Welcome into the Final Play. I'm Juan Kincaid, and it was a very happy Thanksgiving for Saints fans as their celebrations of another Saints win carried throughout the weekend. 10 in a row, and another Thursday night showdown with a playoff contender looms. Sean Vazan gets us started tonight.
Fakes to Ingram, looks down the center, has a man, caught, Tommy Lee Lewis. Ryan's under center, he drops back, looks to the left side, he's going to be dragged down from behind. Sheldon Rankins again.
To put it bluntly, the Saints are balling, and they're doing it better than any other team in the NFL. 10 straight wins with an offense that's near flawless and a defense that's getting better and better every single week.
Every game is different. You just got to kind of play the game that's in front of you. That's one of our goals. We want to stop the run, want to be good in the red zone, want to be good on third down, want to create turnovers. And turnovers is kind of the trump card in this league. Everybody knows that. And so when you get them, it changes the game.
Yet with each victory, there's a sense that their opponent may be the team that finally trips them up. Yet each week they respond with force and fury to earn a convincing victory. Next up is Dallas, a team on a 3-game win streak of their own and sit atop the NFC East.
They're playing at a really high level right now. Obviously they're hot, last 3 weeks. Defensively, they fly around. They're very well coached, very disciplined. They're taking the ball away. They're just doing all the things that great defenses do, getting pressure on the quarterback, good against the run. So really in every facet of what you would say is winning football, championship caliber football, these guys are doing it right now.
Still, the Saints are better, but to make it to win number 11, they'll have to treat the Cowboys with the same respect they've given each and every opponent to date.
First you hear him, now you see him. Sean Vazan joining us here on set alongside the Hall of Famers, Deuce McAllister. This team has won 10 straight games. Give me an idea of what you guys see as the consistent theme of them winning 10 straight games.
Well, they were able to create turnovers, and then obviously how they're playing offensively, being able to run the football, being able to distribute the football to different receivers. I think those things have been consistent. You go back and you look, they're not hurting themselves, they're winning on first down. If they're able to do that on a consistent basis, they're putting themselves in the game every week.
And I see the overall offensive execution, everything is kind of thriving off that. They're flawless from an offensive execution standpoint. They have scored on their opening drive 8 of their 11 opening drives this season. The only one last time they didn't do that was against Baltimore. That was that 20-play drive. So the offensive efficiency is allowing the defense to play loose, and they know 1 or 2 stops a game, all of a sudden we got a 14, 17, 21-point lead, and we can really go after an offense. That's what's happening in these games. That's the theme I've seen so far. Everything is thriving off this offensive execution.
It seems to me they've kind of changed a little bit over the last couple of weeks how they're going to use Taysom, because maybe teams are, there's plenty of film on it now. Have teams game plan for Taysom a little bit different now, and so Sean Payton doesn't use it much in the Atlanta game early on, kind of uses it a little bit later on. Have they kind of change how they're going to use that situation?
I think it was more because of a short week. I think if he has an opportunity, the 3 to 4 days of be able to practice some of those creative plays that he creates for Taysom, then you'll get a little heavier dose. But really on a short week, you want to do the things that you do really well, and that's probably why you didn't see him much the first half. They still use him as a split end. He's lined up as a tight end and obviously at quarterback as well.
And I want to talk about Brandon Marshall for a second, because we've yet to see him on the field. We think it's coming, but Ted Ginn Jr. comes off of IR in Week 15. Traquan Smith may be back for the next game in Dallas. It's a crowded wide receiver room right now. Does Brandon Marshall actually get a chance here? Does he get squeezed out?
I'm going to say yes.
Okay.
I'm going to say yes, but I don't know that it's a guarantee. Yeah. I'm going to say yes. They brought him in here for a reason. He's got veteran presence. At some point, they're going to see that as an asset and put him on the field over what they have. I'm curious, though, who comes off when he goes on, because I think it's going to happen at some point.
So Drew Brees threw his second interception against the Atlanta Falcons. His season's shot.
Done.
I mean, 29 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Give me how his game has evolved this season. He's not throwing for 6,000 yards this year, but he's been such a great quarterback this year. I think way better than most people could have expected the way he's playing.
Yeah, he's playing not only within the system, but it's almost like he's recreating the system of what he wants to do. You can see him set his feet, go to the second guy, or try to manipulate a defense, or really manipulate a defense with his eyes and his shoulders, and be able to place the ball perfectly where he wants it.
I don't know if it's film study, because I was always told he was a film rat and spent so much time studying film. It just feels like every team he faces, it doesn't matter what they do, it feels like he is 2 steps ahead of them at all times. You just never feel like he can be stopped. And I'll also say this, as accurate as he's been his entire career, I think he's been even more accurate this year. Some of those throws, that throw to Ben Watson down the sideline was unbelievable. I mean, he's made some tight window throws that no one on planet Earth can make except him.
On the other side of the ball, and we talk about giving this offense extra possessions against Atlanta, 5 turnovers, 1 interception, got to Matt Ryan a bunch of times. This defense has gotten better, which is what Dennis Allen has wanted. We'll talk about Allen's play calling in a second, but the defense as a man, especially at the front 4, they've gotten a lot better as the season's gone on. We think back to the Tampa game, that's an anomaly now. This team is playing such great defense right now.
Yeah, they're really feeding off of each other. And, you know, a lot of times you'll see Cam Jordan getting double, triple team. So that's leaving one-on-one opportunities, whether it's Okafor, whether it's Davenport, whether it's Sheldon Rankins inside. Those guys are taking advantage of those one-on-one opportunities. And what's interesting, you go back and look at the last 4 games, Minnesota, you know, the Rams, the Eagles, the Falcons, right before half, they create a turnover. And so that's impressive, because now that's a takeaway, and then normally the offense is going to go down and score again.
I just want to give props to Sheldon Rankins, because
he's
really developed, and he's developed some moves. You saw that spin move he had against Ben Garland Thursday night against Atlanta. When he beat the player Cincinnati, I think it was Clint Boiling, I asked him, I said, what was that move? He goes, that was a stutter bull, where he kind of set him up and then bulled right through him. I mean, he was more of a first step guy when he got here a couple of years ago. Now he's developed kind of a nice bullpen of pitches, if you will. He can really throw, he can really rush the passer. He's been the disruptive force they drafted him to be.
Let's talk about Dennis Allen, because I think Dennis Allen deserves his props, man. I mean, we could have all jumped off the ship after that Tampa Bay game, but if you hung on to and believed in what he's calling, I mean, it's been pretty spot on.
Well, and really, you go back to the Atlanta game, the first one as well. You know, you wondered, hey, look, man, what's going on? You know, can they find an opposite corner of to Marshawn Lattimore? They've been able to right the ship. They traded for Eli. He's come in. He's played really well for that group. You know, P.J. Williams, he stepped up. But I think the turnovers, creating turnovers, has really helped the confidence.
So it's a Thursday week for the Saints. Next up for them, the Dallas Cowboys. They're the leaders in the NFC East right now, won 3 straight games. What's changed about them, Sean?
Amari Cooper. I mean, he's made them a totally different team. I think he's a guy, you got to respect him now. They didn't have anybody they respect. I like Cole Beasley, but he's more of a slot second guy. Amari is a true number 1. You saw Thanksgiving Day, he took over that game. That makes them a totally different, more dangerous offense, but they also have Ezekiel Elliott. And if they can stay within, you know, a close deficit, he has the ability to take over, and Dak Prescott seems to have gotten better as Amari Cooper arrives.
All right, we'll leave it right there. Once again, the Saints on a Thursday night game, beating Atlanta last Thursday, facing the Cowboys this Thursday. Deuce McAllister, Sean Vazan, gentlemen, thank you. Make sure you catch us for more Saints talk and sports talk in general every Tuesday night at 10:35 on Fox 8 Overtime. We're just 4 guys sitting around talking sports. Whatever's trending, we'll have it on Fox 8 Overtime every Tuesday night at 10:35. Coming up on the Final Play, what a Saturday it was for college football. From LSU playing a record-setting game in College Station to Tulane finally getting over the bowl eligibility hump. We've got that, plus Nicholls State played winning playoff football, and the Bayou Classic once again lived up to the hype. We'll recap it all when the Final Play continues.
The Final Play.
To give you an idea of just how wacky last night's LSU-Texas A&M game was, both teams scored more points in the overtime period than they did in the 4 quarters to get to overtime. But the 74-72 final score is not what's being talked about the most today, especially if you're an LSU fan. Here's Chris Hagan.
First things first, let's get the obvious and most talked about out of the way. The refs in Saturday night's overtime marathon between LSU and Texas A&M weren't the best. The first gripe everyone had was the missed call on 4th and 18, where it appeared the receiver came up short of the line. However, ESPN had that yellow line wrong on the screen, and indeed, it was a first down. But where head coach Ed Orgeron chose to plant his flag against the officials was at the very end of regulation, and what he felt should have been the end of the game.
We practiced what we call the winning edge, and we've been told with 3 seconds left, you can't kill it. And they tried to kill it, and the clock went down to 0. How they put another 1 second on the clock remains to be seen. But that's 1 second, in my opinion, should have never been put up.
It's a call and a decision that Orgeron says changed the course of the game for good. But it wasn't the only one. In the very first overtime, what appeared to be a turnover by Texas A&M tight end Jay Sternberger was instead ruled an incomplete pass.
I thought the guy caught it and ran with the football, and he fumbled it. They said it wasn't. Now look at the film. I thought he caught it and was running with the ball. The calls didn't go our way tonight. We'll look at it.
But despite the officiating, which is the easy scapegoat, there aren't too many people talking about the opportunities the Tigers missed on their own. No, I'm not talking about the offense, a unit that put up more than 60 points behind a tremendous effort from quarterback Joe Burrow, but rather a defense with the highest paid coordinator in the land and 2 future first-round, possibly top 10 picks on the field that allowed the 4th and 18 conversion, the touchdown with 1 second in regulation, and several more touchdowns in overtime.
Jump ball to the end zone. Rodgers, I think, made that catch, and there's the flag. Wow!
Coach O says he feels bad for his players more than anything, but win or lose, they're moving forward as they would after any other game.
Just like we've done everyone else. Tell the truth Monday. Look at the film. You know, we're going to be out on the road recruiting tomorrow. Our guys are going to have time off. We're going to see where this thing takes us. We still have had a very good season. We fell 1 second short of winning 10 games, and that's the way we're going to approach it.
Reporting on the Tigers, I'm Chris Hagan for the Final Play.
Speaking of what's trending, bowl wave was after Tulane's comeback win against Navy on Saturday. The Greenies are bowl eligible for the first time since 2013, but it took a big-time comeback just to make it happen. Here's Garland Gillen.
Tulane surrendered 25 unanswered points in the second half, but finally recovered on a Justin McMillan touchdown pass. Now came the tough decision. Go for 1 in the tie or 2 in the win. Coach Fritz never hesitated.
I thought they were doing a good job offensively. We were having a tough time stopping them. And I thought our defense was tired. You know, our X-point field goal kicker just missed one. You know, and just, you know, I kind of went over. I already knew I was going for it. I told the AD I was going for 2 and just wanted to make sure I still had that contract. And he said I did, so we went ahead and went for it. So it was a lot of things played into. We still had 3 timeouts left. If it didn't work, you know, an onside kick, maybe get it, use the 3 timeouts. So there was a lot of factors involved.
Honestly, looking at the scheme of the game, I kind of had an idea we were going to go for 2. We didn't really, I mean, at that point, it's just, you know, see what we can do and try to get, we had to get a win. So he made a bold decision by going for 2, and it worked out well.
For the first time in 5 years, Tulane is bowl eligible. That winning feeling is back uptown, and it appears more success is on the way.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's a big win for us. I'm just happy for the players. You know, I've played a lot of games and coached a lot of games, and happy for them to get the win.
It's been a gradual win process for Fritz at Tulane. In year 1, he had 4 wins, last year 5, and this year 6 wins and bowl eligibility. From Uptown, Garland Gillen, Fox 8 Sports.
And the winning continued down in Thibodaux, with Nicholls State picking up an FCS playoff win, taking care of San Diego, and doing so convincingly behind the arm of their Rummel Raider, Chase Forcade. He threw for 337 yards and 2 touchdowns and ran for 82 more yards and 2 more scores as the Colonels beat the Toreros 49-30. It's the first time in 32 years that the Colonels have won a playoff game, and now they'll get ready for a road trip to 3rd seed Eastern Washington next Saturday. Over in the Dome on Saturday, the 45th annual Bayou Classic not only had bragging rights riding on the outcome, but a spot in the SWAC title game going to the winner of Southern and Grambling. This game was tight in the fourth quarter after the Tigers trimmed an 18-point deficit to just 3. But the Jaguars had the perfect response. A late touchdown drive finished off by John Curtis product Devon Ben's 2-yard score, giving Southern a 38-28 win and a spot in the SWAC championship game against Alcorn State.
We talked about the adversity, and we said we was going to encounter it during this game. But which group of guys was going to show up? But I think at the end of the day, I'm proud of the assistant coaches and proud of these players for hanging in there and just trusting the process. And this is the reward.
And in the Sun Belt Conference, UL Lafayette kept alive its hopes of winning the conference title outright by taking care of business against UL Monroe. Yesterday, 31-28 is the final score. The winning score for the Cajuns was this Elijah Mitchell screen pass from Levi Lewis, which resulted in a 40-yard touchdown. The win propelled the Cajuns into the Sun Belt Championship game next Saturday to face Appalachian State. Up next, 1/4 of the NBA's regular season is in the books. So where do the Pelicans stand in a very competitive Western Conference? We'll discuss that. And in the meantime, we bring you the Final Play fan camera. To submit your passionate picture, send an email to Pix, that's P-I-X, at fox8live.com.
The Final Play fan. You're watching The Final Play.
Welcome back into The Final Play, and we're switching gears to talk Pelicans. 20 games in, and they're a 500 basketball team, 10-10, and still carrying with them far more questions than answers about their playoff future. They've got injury issues and finishing issues, and they need to fix both to get their season, which began with 4 straight wins, back on track. Always nice to have with us Andrew Lopez, NOLA.com, the Times Picayune. He covers the Pelicans for the paper and also online. This latest report on a website talking about Anthony Davis considering the Lakers and the Celtics once he's done here, or maybe before his contract is done here. Your thoughts on that? Because this is not something we're surprised about.
Yeah, not at all. I mean, once AD signed with Clutch Sports, you thought things like this would come out. Pelicans fans are kind of, I think they're getting a little tired of hearing.
Living on the edge.
Everybody, the rumors. But you remember what happened with Chris Paul. He forces his way out of New Orleans. On the Boston front, that continues to boggle me how much people put Boston in there because because of the Rose Rule, you can't have 2 guys on Rose Rule contracts. Kyrie is on one. He cannot actually be traded until Kyrie signs a new deal. So he can't even go to Boston until July. Let's just put that on the side. Now, the Lakers, everybody's going to just assume that anyway because of Clutch and AD and LeBron and things like that. But to me, there's just a lot of that to unpack, but it's not going to go away until AD says something, which he probably won't until the end of the season.
We're at the quarter point of the season right now. The Pelicans are 10-10. Are they what their record says they are? It sounds like they are.
I think so right now, only because you haven't seen, I think, the real them. When you've seen the real them, there's 5 games so far that they've had their starting lineup that they want to use. They are 5-0 in those games. They are 5-10 in the rest of them. Until they get healthy, this is what they are. They are a team who is going to struggle with their second unit because they don't have a backup point guard that they can rely on right now. That's why I think some fans have kind of wondered why Julius Randle is on the bench and Nico is starting when Nico's kind of struggled from shooting. You need Julius Randle's playmaking on the second unit, which is weird to think that you need a guy who's a powerful 6'9", 250 to be your playmaker on the second unit.
Never thought they'd be missing Alfred Payton so much like they are now, but he really affects a lot of the game, getting guys in the right position, taking the ball out of Drew Holiday's hands, having to be the point guard. He is a real difference maker with this team, and you're seeing it.
Because of what he does, it fits this team perfectly. You thought, okay, he's coming in on a $2.4 million deal. He's not making that much, but he was put in as a starting point guard. He struggles last year a little bit in Orlando and Phoenix in situations that weren't exactly built for him. This is built for him. The point of the offense is he can get to the rim. That's what he does best. He does take a little bit of the pressure off of Drew. Drew being your point guard 38 minutes a night is not something he's comfortable with. He's going to make extra turnovers, but when he can be the playmaker down the stretch, when he hasn't had it all day, then that's what kind of Drew thrives in.
And Alvin Gentry's biggest challenge right now is what?
The training room, getting those guys healthy. I mean, I don't think it's anything to do with him, but it's figuring out, it's getting out everybody he wants healthy, getting AD right, getting Alfred right. But I think the biggest thing is the lack of a reliable backup point guard.
Right now, this team is a bottom half of the Western Conference playoff push.
Western Conference is weird right now, man.
It's really weird.
It's the Clippers, the Grizzlies, the Thunder are all at the top. I mean, it
makes no sense.
It's going to shake out soon enough, but it's weird, man.
It's up for grabs. Andrew Lopez from NOLA.com, the Times picking you. Thanks, Andrew.
No problem.
Up next, it's time to recognize the best of the best from last week's high school playoff games.
You're watching The Final Play.
High school playoffs from Saturday night. Undefeated Country Day hosting Catholic New Iberia for a spot in the Division III title game. Pick it up, 21-19 at the break. Third quarter, Justin Ibieta, what a game he had. To the air, C.D. St. Hilaire on the receiving end of a 2-yard score. Cajuns take their first lead of the game, 26-21. Now 39-36 Country Day. A little later, Catholic takes the lead back on a 41-yard run by Trey Henry. Panthers up 43-39. Cajuns back on the attack, and you know somehow Ibieta will be involved. Quarterback keeper, 12-yard score. The junior accounting for all 7 of the Cajuns' touchdowns. 46-43 Country Day, but despite scoring 54 points, it just was not enough as Catholic New Iberia put up 57 to advance to the championship game. Make sure you head over to Fox 8's news app or fox8live.com, where we have highlights and scores from Week 13 of the prep season. Plus, you can catch up on the latest recruiting news, check out our weekly power rankings, and preview next week's action. Our Fox 8 play of the week takes us back to Eric's comeback win over East Ascension. Jacoby Wendrum in for the injured Travis Mumphrey. First, he evades the sack. How? I have no idea. And then he fires deep to the end zone where Jerron Glenn makes the catch. It's our catch of the week. And that takes us to this week's Player of the Week nominees. Carr's wide receiver Aaron Anderson had 2 touchdown receptions and a 70-yard punt return for a touchdown in their 48-19 win over Bastrop. Destrehan all-everything running back John Emery Jr. 4 touchdown runs and a 31-14 win over Terrebonne. And how about John Curtis quarterback Colin Guggenheim? He ran for 4 touchdowns, threw a touchdown pass in the Patriots' 56-34 win over Evangel. Make sure you get your voting in by Wednesday. Fox8live.com/player. Voting ends on Wednesday once again. And that's our show for tonight. For all of us here at Fox 8, I'm Juan Kincaid. Fox's NFL Game Day Prime is coming up next. We hope you'll join us again next Sunday night for the Final Play.
From Fox 8 Sports, this has been the Final Play.